A Bloomberg Businessweek analysis found that trades with characteristics often associated with insider trading became more prevalent on Polymarket starting in January. What is the analysis that you and the team did?
So we run the data over the past year. We've seen a massive spike this year. The peak is actually the Iran war, and we've seen a lot of geopolitical related contracts. But we looked at a few different metrics. So a perfect insider trade or suspicious trade will be someone who places the trade pretty much meticulous timing, like something is at 5-10% odds and I buy it and I happen to be right. Something we see very often is that a lot of those wallets were created shortly before they place the bets. A few hours, a few days, obviously that gets pretty suspicious. Then obviously accuracy. We're talking about some cases, but there is one case where 38 connected wallets had 100% accuracy. Like, the chances of this are obviously pretty low unless you have some special information.
Hold on, so what you're saying is the people with insider information should only win. Maybe they should lose on purpose a few times.
That's actually a good point, because actually more people are getting sophisticated about that. There are so many tracking tools, and they're avoiding those tools with placing different bets. Maybe you're good on geopolitical stuff. You'd see some of those accounts placing bets on sports to kind of distract people. So
maybe they're just really good.
Maybe they're
making a good call.
Maybe they're really good.
So what's the process on these platforms where they start to look into something, and how many do they find like, okay, there's a problem here?
Well, very often, a lot of the cases that are moving through investigations right now, many of them were flagged by people who have been tracking those cases before, months and months before. The famous Van Dyke case, where soldiers bet and won allegedly more than 400,000 on U.S. invasion in Venezuela and President Maduro, was actually an account people have been tagging for months. So those websites have been pretty good at tracking it. And many of those transactions, if you look deeper into this, have resulted in actual investigation. We saw a similar thing with, we had a Google engineer who had allegedly information about Google searches, made a lot of money, and eventually is being prosecuted currently. We don't know what's the latest on that. But many of those cases started with those platforms. So they've been pretty accurate at spotting some of the big moves.
And there's a huge team at the CFTC working day and night tracking. No, there's not. I mean,
well, I think if you're asking where most of the pushback is coming, I would say mostly from the platform. A lot of the cases we've been talking about day and night are cases coming from Kalshi and Polymarket. They have been both very active at referring those cases
but here's
to
the thing.
CFTC.
Here's the thing. We don't know what cases those platforms are missing.
Oh, we don't know. And we've been talking a lot about it. A lot of the cases on Kalshi are people betting $200 on their own race, $500 on their own race. We don't have the visibility of a
These
blockchain.
are some prominent examples that Kalshi gave to us in recent months.
Exactly, but we don't have visibility over the blockchain. We don't know what else is happening. So there are many questions.
So you have to take their word for it.
Of course. I mean, the company has been very active, flagging a lot of cases. It's not a blockchain based. They're fully based in the US. We don't have too much information about what's happening on Kalshi, but we have a lot more on what's happening in Polymarket. And we see 200 million worth of tax suspicious trades from the start of the year to January.
So what's the process when they see something that's suspicious? Do they stop the account? Do they just flag it to regulators, but the account can continue
Now I think it's more active. It has changed. Okay. It has changed a lot in the past few months. Polymarket has changed their opinion a lot on what constitutes insider trading. They put proper rules about this in March, and since then they've been very thorough about it. I would say most of the times those cases happen after the trade has happened. It's really hard to track it right before their resolution. It's really hard to figure it out if you're right before the contract is resolved. So almost by its nature, it happened afterwards. What we have here is a lot of the Polymarket International Exchange doesn't have know your customers rules, so it's a little bit harder to find if the user hasn't shared too much about their identity.
Yeah. One last question. I mean, are they trades out of the U.S. or trades in the U.S.? Like, do they know, or that's difficult?
We're seeing a very interesting trend where a lot of the Polymarket trades are actually coming through U.S. regulated exchange. We're seeing that this is exclusive data we found, half of the trades from 2021 until now are actually coming from U.S. regulated exchange. We don't know if all of those are U.S. citizens, but it's pointing that indeed there are a lot of U.S. citizens using those exchanges.
What is an illegal trade on one of these platforms?
I think the main thing is non-public information.
But
it's important how you get it.
Totally cut and dry.
It's not cut and dry, right? That's right. And that's kind of the next frontier we talk in the story. It's one thing to have non-public information. It's another thing to obtain it in an illegal way. It's third thing for me to have a non-public information and to tip it to you. That's getting harder and harder to
crack.
But
I do think there are some people out there who say, well, if we want these things to predict the future and give people an idea of what's going to happen, then we want people with asymmetric information to be making wagers.
That's the grand theory behind it. And Robin Hanson, one of the economists behind it, that's what he says.
Here's
if we have inside information, it pushes us closer to the truth.
Take money out of the equation, right? Take money out of the equation.
Yeah, like Facebook wants to do.
But then people are not incentivized. People are not incentivized. Are they going to place the same importance and same
Am I incentivized when I'm on Waze and I'm saying there's traffic? Am I? I'm not. But I play the game.
You do?
I guess so.
I do.
That's so nice of you.
I do all the time.
No,
I guess so. But that's something everyone is using. It's harder to do it for markets that are not that maybe entertaining.